coming up soon. When is it, Christian?
Thursday.
How excited are you?
Dude, so I was talking to Anna Ruth about this weekend because she was like, I'm going to a concert on Thursday night, and I was like, great, I'll be watching the draft. I think I have watched every pick of the first round since 2009. Was as far as I could track it back, was 2009. And I'm pretty confident in that. And it might go back a year or two further, but I can almost with 100% certainty, I've watched every pick of every first round since 2009 when I was 11 years old. So I am a draft freak. I start reading draft coverage during college football season, like when very few people are writing about it. I catch every article I can.
Right.
I love it. It's one of those friend events where we all get together, order pizza, hang out, watch the draft. So I am excited about it. I'm just gonna go for it.
Yeah, go.
I'm gonna go for a second, and then we can transition into our next topic. It's an interesting draft because I think it's pretty obvious it's going to be quarterback heavy.
Yeah.
At the beginning, Caleb Williams is all but assured to go number 1 overall, and then the Commanders are expected to take a quarterback as well at number 2, whether that's Jaden Daniels, Drake May, or the wild card of J.J. McCarthy. There will be a quarterback there at 3. Patriots need a quarterback. Do they trade down? Do the Vikings trade up? Does another team come up to get a quarterback there? Even the Raiders potentially at 13. Do they move up? So it's going to be a quarterback heavy first round. Bare minimum is going to be 4, and that would be Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy. But also wouldn't be surprised if Bo Nix and Michael Penix go in there. So it could be up to 6 quarterbacks. Very offensive-heavy draft as well. You look at the receivers, Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze, all very closely ranked on most people's boards. They could all be top 10 picks. I think it's really the deepest offensive line draft that I've seen or I can remember, at least over the last several years. Maybe not some of the top end talent, I guess you could say. I think Joe Alt is the highest rated on most people's board. But you got Olu Fashanu out of Penn State, who's going to be high up there. You've got Troy Fountain now from Washington that's going to be high up there. Talise Fuaga from Oregon State that's going to be up there. Amarius Mims, Tyler Guyton. So the list goes on and on. Jackson Powers Johnson, Graham Barton as interior offensive linemen. So I think I saw something that today. It was like a NFL draft hot take or something that was like by the 2026 season, there will be 10 starting offensive linemen between the first 2 rounds or something like that. It's very offensive line heavy. First defense player probably comes off the board around 9 to 11. It's not even mentioning Brock Bowers, who is, been considered one of the most elite tight end prospects of all time. So it should be a lot of fun. I know it's not necessarily the deepest draft as far as defense goes, but receivers super deep in this class. Quarterbacks kind of fall off after those top 6. That's when you get into like Spencer Rattler range. Offensive line is really like 3 or 4 rounds deep of potential starters, both interior and tackles. So I'm obviously excited about it. Can't wait. I know we've talked a lot about the Cowboys' terrible offseason so far, so we'll see what they can do in the draft to maybe alleviate that. Seeing some people saying they could trade back later in the first round, pick up maybe a late second or a third round pick. So see what the Cowboys do. But overall, I'm not really focused on my team in the draft. I enjoy it all.
What is your favorite part about the draft? Like, what do you enjoy the most about? Do you like seeing the videos of the live shots of the players getting the phone calls? Like, what do you like the most?
Honestly, for me, it's like the totality of the team building. Like my favorite thing, I think, is looking back after Sunday or after Saturday, right, and I guess going into Sunday and looking at who did everybody get? Like, where were the needs filled? Like, who had the best on paper draft class? Like, who hit every position that they needed to get and could have potential starters at that position. So that's what I like, is seeing, like, you have these teams with all these holes and how do they attack them in the draft? Like, do they go best player available, or do they do they take players that fill a need? So to me, it's just everything. It's going back at the end and saying, okay, how did these teams fill those holes, and how does it look going into the season?
In your opinion, what's more vital to team success? In which league is the draft more vital to a team's success, NFL or NBA? Because those are the two real big drafts that we look at, right?
I think it's NFL, and it's not even close. Because really, in the NBA, you're going to get maybe one starter a year,
right?
Maybe. Like
maybe,
if you're outside the lottery, you might not even get a starter. You might just get a borderline rotational guy. But in the NFL, it can completely change a team. Me and Gabe have talked ad nauseum about the Lions from last year and what they did with Jack Campbell and Jahmyr Gibbs and Brian Branch and Sam Laporta, and they completely rebuilt their roster through that draft. So to me, it's NFL, and it's not even close. Obviously, more rounds, more positions to fill, and just overall more depth and more talent in the NFL draft.